Okay, now let's take a look at our fourth principle, which is interface segregation principle. So to understand that, let's dive into example. So now over here we have our post, which has this method. But let's say like I want to create interface and bind this class with that interface. So let's just go ahead and create a folder called interface. And let's create a new class. So it's gonna be, let's say, iPost. That's cool. And if I go to post, we have this class. So this is what we want in our interface. Okay, and let's just import it. So we'll just extend it. Okay, so if we run this, it still works perfect. Okay, so we do have our interface now. That's cool. But let's say the requirement has changed and we need one additional function that will count the number of multimedia posts actually. So right now we have just one multimedia post and we want to count how many are there. So what it will do is, the first thing we'll do is we'll go to our interface and we will create some method that we want to use. So let's say it's int count post, and we are gonna pass database db. Okay, so we have our new method. So if we go to the post, we have an error because we haven't implemented that yet. So what I can do is I can create a new method and let's say int, and the name is count post. And we are going to pass database. This is database db, and we're gonna return something. But wait a moment. We are counting post, right? So what this has to do anything with post? Because we're not counting post. We are counting post. So what do we want to do over here? I mean, like, post doesn't have post. So in this case, maybe we don't know what we want to return. We don't want to return 0. So we can have simple and easy thing, not implemented, exception. And we can write, I do not need it here. Oh, easy. And let's go back to the post, and we actually do need it over here because we are counting post. So I'll create that method over here and I'm gonna override it. So it's gonna be count post, and what we are returning, we will return the count. So we'll return, let's say, db dot count from database. And we actually do not have this method yet, so let's go to our database and create count So over here we can just create a method called count what this will do is it will count the number of multimedia messages. So let's create a variable count, and we will actually look through the list. So post model db in database. So we are actually checking if our string is not equal to NA. So This string is coming from mmpost, and we are comparing it against NA. So if it is not equal to NA, then we want to make it count plus plus. And finally, we are returning count. Okay, so this will give the number of count of mmpost. So if I go back to mmpost, it should work now. So let's go to our main method in a program. So we want to return that too, right? So what I can do is I can console write out and print it. So let's say number of mmpost are. So it is coming from our post, and the method is count_mm. Now let's pass our database over here, and let's close it with the okay. And what I want to do is I want to create one more. So this is my fourth post, and it should be multimedia. So if I print this, I should get number 2. Alright, so we go. We have 2 multimedia posts, and number of posts are 2. Now, the thing is, if we go to the post, we are having this unnecessary method. What will happen? We don't need this method actually. What will happen if we remove it? We'll get an error saying like we haven't implemented it yet. So this means, and like we must have it, and we are clearly violating our 4th principle, interface segregation principle. So that means this post does not need the count post. So why are we forcing this class to implement this method? We shouldn't be doing that. So let's actually fix it. So what I will do is I'll create one more interface. So that means like we are segregating our interface. So over here, let's create a new interface called post. So this will be responsible for just multimedia post. So now let's go to the post and let's just cancel this. And over here, we'll just paste it. Let's import it. And now if I go to the post, I will actually remove it because I don't need it, and I will not get any error because iPost has just one method and we are clearly implementing it. And now if we go to mmpost, let's just remove this override now, and let's just implement our interface. So mmpost. Now let's just bring it in, and this would fix our problem. Yep, and this is working fine. And if we go to our post, we are completely segregating our interface. So, right, everything is working fine, and we are in comply with interface segregation principle too.